Hello, Mr. Cruz. Welcome to our documentary on the Russian Revolution.
By Tania, Almanza, Aracely, Camacho, and Yasmin Hernandez, the Tay Group.
So let's start from the beginning. The Russian Revolution began in 1817 as the end of World War I year. The last Tsar of Russia, Nicholas II, was losing control of the Russian citizens as they began to realize that the Tsar was not sent by God. As poverty ran free among most of the Russian citizens, the cry for help was increased. There were two social classes among them. They were the nobles and the serfs. The serfs were mostly farmers and made up about 80% of the population, while the nobles made up only 20%. After 300 years of ruling by the Tsar, Russian citizens were ready to have a voice in the government. As starvation and poverty made them suffer, they grew impatient and furious. The trust they held towards the Tsar began to weaken and vanish. He eventually abdicated and was executed along his family. On the right, you can see his family.
Causes: widespread poverty, which was increased by the introduction of Russia into World War I. Tsar began losing followers and power because of weak leadership due to his incompetence and the power he gave to Rasputin. Russia's role in World War I really affected it because of all the casualties they suffered during the war. They lost millions of soldiers during the war. Citizens began wanting a voice, and the lost war of the Russo-Japanese by Russia increased that want a voice. And then Bloody Sunday, which was a horrible tragedy, kind of sparked the war and created more chaos that increased the wanting of voice and power in the government for the citizens. Other political parties, such as the Bolsheviks, gained more power due to the loss of respect towards the Tsar.
Rasputin was a Russian peasant and religious mystic who gained considerable influence in the Tsar's court as a result of his hypnotic killing power over the Tsarevich Alexei, who suffered from hemophilia. Rasputin's political interference, combined with his excessive lifestyle, did much to discredit the monarchy in the eyes of the Russian people. He was murdered by Russian nobles who were afraid of his growing power. First they gave the monk food and wine laced with cyanide, but when this failed, they shot him at close range, leaving him for dead. However, Rasputin revived and attempted to escape from the palace grounds, whereupon his assailants shot him. No, whereupon his assailants shot him again and beat him viciously. Finally, they bound Rasputin, still miraculously alive, and tossed him into a freezing river. His body was discovered several days later, and the two main conspirators, Prince Felix and Grand Duke Dmitry Pavlovich, were exiled.
Bloody Sunday. On January 22nd, 1905, a group of workers led by radical priest Grigory Gapan marched to the Tsar's Winter Palace in St. Petersburg to make their demands. Imperial forces opened fire on the demonstrators, aiming above their heads in order to avoid killing them. However, children had climbed trees to watch the protests and were killed. The death of all these children caused strikes and riots break out through the country in outraged response to the massacre, to which Nicholas responded by promising the formation of a series of representative assemblies or dumas to work toward reform.
Vladimir Lenin and the Bolsheviks. As Nicholas II grew weaker, Vladimir Lenin rose to prominence as the most powerful figure in Russia. Although this famous leader of the October Revolution was not even in Russia for the February Revolution, he had lived in self-imposed exile in Europe since 1900 and returned to Russia only in April 1917 with the help of Germany. He nonetheless exerted tremendous influence. He opposed Russia at World War I as a condition to the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk, that was a treaty between Russia and Germany to pull out Russia from World War I. Lenin eventually became the leader of the Bolshevik Party, whose goal was to overthrow the provisional government and set up a government for the proletariat.
Julius Martov and the Mensheviks. During the 1905–07 revolution, the Mensheviks opposed the working class and peasantry who were in open revolt. They believed that socialism should only be achieved firstly through a bourgeois Borges revolution. Following this revolution, they felt the working class and peasantry would then be able to revolt against the Borges and establish socialism. After the successful Borges revolution of February 1917, most Mensheviks joined the provisional government, strongly subscribing to the theory of stagism. After the October Revolution, the Mensheviks opposed the Soviet government primarily through bur- bureaucratic lobbying, though some members later joined the White Army.
The February Revolution was the first of two revolutions that took place in Russia in 1917 that began in St. Petersburg on International Women's Day. Women-led food riots broke in St. Petersburg, but when the Tsar ordered the Duma to dissolve and the troops to enforce his order, no one obeyed. Workers and soldiers organized federal legislative bodies called Soviets, and the rebellion spread throughout the country as troops deserted. The Tsar abdicated, ending the Roman dynasty. The provisional government was established as the ruling administrative power in the empire. It was an alliance between liberals and socialists who wanted political reform. They set up a democratically elected executive and constituent assembly. Socialists also formed the Petrograd Soviet, which ruled alongside the provisional government.
The October Revolution. The October Revolution in Russia, also known as the Bolshevik Revolution, was the second phase of the overall Russian Revolution of 1917. Revolutionaries, led by Bolshevik party leader Vladimir Lenin, launched a nearly bloodless coup d'état against the Duma's provisional government. The provisional government had been assembled by a group of leaders from Russia's bourgeois capitalist class. Lenin instead called for a Soviet government that would be ruled directly by councils of soldiers, peasants, and workers. The Bolsheviks and their allies occupied government buildings and other strategic locations in Petrograd, and soon formed a new government with Lenin as its head. Lenin became the dictator of the world's first communist state. The October Revolution overthrew the Russian provisional government and gave the power to Bolsheviks. It was followed by the Russian Civil War, 1917 to 1920, and the creation of the Soviet Union in 1922.
Thank you for listening to our documentary.
We hope you enjoyed and learned something.